we're going to start. I'm going to start right now. I don't even want to. Everybody knows what it's called because I almost fucked up the name of it last week. I realized that. That's for another time. This is episode 15, by the way, but we're a little bit delayed because I take a shit. So I figured I'm going to get that out because somebody, right, Mike? Somebody's going to bring it up.
I was going to bring it up right away that we actually were going to start 25 minutes ago, but you were taking a shit.
Of course, I fucked this up already because I didn't mute this. Now, there we go. There we go. Now I got it. I muted me, but not you. That's how fucking stupid I am. Oh, no, I just got to turn it down. There we go. It's only been the fucking 15th time. There it is. Fucking moron. By the way, this was not chili related. The last time I had to shit and I texted him, we made nutritarian chili and it went right through me basically. This was treatment shit. And I didn't need help getting me out of the toilet or anything. And shockingly, I went into that. Oh, there's a shit grinder. I met the guy that did this last week. Now he's Asian, and I realized that I obviously wanted to do an impression, but I can't. That would be wrong.
Right.
So he tells me, because remember Swallow, were you here when Swallow said that's a shit grinder because they got to put shit grinders in the basement toilets? There's a shit grinder. He told me it's a grinder.
Yeah.
He told me it's like a garbage disposal in the toilet. It and then sucks it right up there. It has
like
to
an
grind.
auger?
He told me it's basically a garbage disposal underneath the toilet, and then it grinds it and shoots it up or however it forces, because you can't have a regular toilet in the basement because all toilets go down. All the pipes go down or down and out. Yes.
So those toilets are like Jewish girls before they get married, right? They go down.
Good one. That's a good one. Yes. Is that true? I didn't know that.
I don't know.
I didn't know that.
Rumor.
And I just want to point out that we immediately start. Shane's like, you guys, like the shit stories are funny, but like, that's like all. I'm like, that's all that is. Because I have another one about the story I told you guys before we started about me almost having to get a basketball to come out of my ass. I want to save that for another time. But that's another shit story. That one, I needed help. I was thinking I was Danny Glover, and I was gonna have to have the rescue squad come and as violently as they can pull my finger, because I couldn't get that shit to come out. No, that's pun intended.
See, if you pulled the Jim White and left the door open, you wouldn't have.
I locked the fucking door, which was a moron. Yeah, Jim pisses. So did I ever tell you the Jim White story about him pissing with the door open? Right. So we're at the other place, and we had that bathroom right in the downstairs. So they're over watching football, and he's in there. He's like, I gotta piss. So he goes in, and he's talking to us. And we're sitting there. I didn't want to say anything. Nicole goes, Jimmy, are you pissing with the door open? He's like, yeah, I forgot where I was. So now, every time he's here, and anytime you piss with the door open, you're pulling a Jim White. Yeah. Every time.
And Maddie even says that at the house.
Oh, she does it too. Yeah.
She's like, oh, you're pulling a Jim White again, huh, Dad? I'm like, all right, enough.
So we got it down here. I think that was on the bingo card. That was on the bingo card. If he pissed with the door open, if he pulled a jivvy piss with the door open
that's
down
a good
here.
One.
There's too many.
Too many. You got to shut.
Yeah, you got it. There's some couth. At least he didn't have enough beers. At least that probably was it.
Right. What you should do is you should put a fence in that bathroom. Let
he
him
can
piss over that
it.
thing.
Yes.
You know what? If we put it outside the door, maybe I can try and go up and over and you
can't.
Kind of like lawn darts.
You can't. That was impressive. I will give you that for whatever you kinked the hose. Did I start this fucking thing? Hang on a second. I gotta make sure this is. There it is. Yeah, it's all right. We don't. We got. So one of the topics, we got the combine on. Do you remember that year that Guys Johnson came out? Did you ever see that video?
Yes, I do. Yes.
That offensive lineman who is a race known for large Johnsons, is the best way of putting it, is running. First of all, I think offensive linemen running a 40-yard dash is the most ridiculous thing, because they don't run. They don't run to block it. You pull. That's it, if anything. And his freaking jimrod came flying out.
Do you think that added like a couple tenths of a second on
it fucking started slapping him on the ass. It was like a donkey tail. That son bitch was big.
You would think with the combine on, right, that somewhere that would always show up again.
Right. No, it should be highlights every year.
And it's not. It's not. Like, I totally forgot about it until you said it.
Yeah, that should be on their opening teaser. That should be every year and their opening teaser.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant every year it should happen.
No. But the thing is,
come on, I've run a lot. Like, I'm not a professional athlete, but my dick doesn't come flying out of my shorts when I run.
Think about how big his rod was, that he was wearing bike shorts, and that son of a bitch slipped down out and started flopping around like a fucking garden hose.
At my old gym, back in Paramus, they used to have a track above the gym, so you can look down. So there was this one guy. Oh God, I'm trying. If I can give a good example, like I can't even think of. Probably looked like Porky from Porky's, like the guy. Right?
Yes.
So he would walk around, and now this is the late '80s, early mid '90s. And shorts were the really up shorts. So he'd walk around. He had a red, white, and blue headband, and he's walking around on the track one day. And my friend helped us. He goes, "Just take a look up there, right?" And I look up, and this guy's walking, and his balls are hanging out the side.
That's
nice.
Come on.
Now the worst part of it was the guy was probably like 68 years old and just not in good shape, and it was just like, ooh.
So that moose knuckle was slipping out of there.
Oh yeah, you could say it's enough to turn a gay man straight. When you saw that, I know that's a little off color. But
would that actually work if a gay guy saw somebody else's balls that turned him off? He'd be like, I'm going to women.
Elaine proved you cannot switch teams.
You can't switch teams. That's true.
Nope.
Can't
He
do
tried.
it.
He couldn't play the saxophone after that. He tried. That's a
Good
classic.
Good
That is a classic episode. What is your so the combine's going on. I think we have acknowledged now as a nation that it is a fucking joke. Even like I'm reading stories about it, and the guys that are covering the combine are saying that they have to stop because their liver can't take it, because they're basically going out every night and drinking like lunatics. But like, what's your take? Do you really think it does? Like, other than it's a show and people watch it and fantasy nerds like it, do you really think that it's worth, like, it's something that they must have other than watching it on television?
If you're Mike Mamula, yes, because you parlay that into a first-round draft pick.
But do you really think anymore that these guys get, like, they have a great combine and somebody's like, ooh, yes, I think that's going to work?
No, I don't think so. I think there's so much access to data, to video, to tape. You don't need this anymore, right? Like, you see guys, you can either play or you can't play. Go look at the tape. I don't care. Like, I saw Schefter tweet about some dude today, some quarterback. His fingers are 8 inches long.
Yeah. Oh, Kenny Pickett.
Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett. Yeah, who gives a shit? Right?
Is that good?
No, it's bad.
I don't know.
Supposedly it's bad.
That's fucking big, isn't it?
Yeah.
8 fucking inches. What the hell? Is he Frankenstein? Holy fuck. I don't think mine are fucking...
I think it's not...
Oh, it's not his fingers aren't fucking 8 inches.
It's like from here to the tip.
I thought it was from pinky to thumb or...
Oh, this way across. Oh, that's more like it. Holy fuck.
But you're right.
Do you want me...
So, by the way... Go ahead.
Do you want me to take my hog out and measure? Use that as like a measuring tape?
Is that going to make it? Is that going to...
Yeah.
First, go outside, put on some bike shorts, let your hog come out, and then put your hand down there and grab it. And that way we'll know how long that son of a bitch is.
But no, I mean, think about it. You look at the combine, and... It's great made for TV stuff.
Yeah.
Like, every football fan is going to watch it. And once the NFL Network became the NFL, once they started, and they started showing the combine, everyone's like, oh, nobody gets to see this. It's pretty cool. And then they just pump it to try and get as much, word of mouth going. They'd probably be better off is... You bring them in, don't even have them work out. You're really going there just to interview these players.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you're not going to ask some stupid questions like, well, if you were a tree, what type of tree would you be?
Wasn't there a really dumb...
Yeah, there were a lot of dumb ones that, not really to say on anything here. Because
right. That's what I thought.
You hear some of this stuff and you're like, how the fuck does this guy still have a job to ask a question like that? Like, really all... If I'm an executive, the only thing I care about, if I'm going to spend the money in you, I want to make sure you're a high character person.
Yep.
That you don't get. Look, everybody's going to make a mistake. If you're going to make a mistake, you know what? Be drunk in a bar and
slap like Mamula did, slap a woman in the ass.
No, not even.
Don't credit card her.
You know what? Just be like, you be loud and obnoxious. Don't be out, crashing a car drunk or beating the shit out of somebody.
Right.
Be a high character person. Sell yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do that and you're good enough, you're going to have a successful career.
I think that so by the way, The Athletic has been great. They send me like sports specific things I like. So every day I get a thing about the Vikings, and a lot of it's on Cousins, which I want to actually touch on. But their new head coach and their new GM, who Angela thought was hot accidentally, that's what they said. They're interviewing. By the way, they focused entirely on defensive line needs and quarterback, but they've interviewed the quarterback pool, and that's what Kevin O'Connell said, that like the most important thing is he wants to know if these guys can retain stuff in their head and if they're good character people. Like, they're not worried about the fact that Pickett's fingers are fucking 8 inches, But that's what I think the biggest thing is. But you don't need to be television. This is all this fucking nonsense.
It's fun to watch.
Shit.
Right.
Put them in their fucking underwear and their tank tops.
You know who made a living off of this? And I still love the guy, even Mike Mayock. Mayock, to watch this, like, he broke that down as a scout. And that's, for me as a fan, watching, like, this guy's really, really good. And I became a fan of his. And then he went to the Raiders. And now I got to watch Daniel Jeremiah, who's probably could be our kid. That's how young he looks. And I'm like, give me the older guy a little bit so I kind of feel a little younger. But, like, he broke it down perfectly, like, watching that. You're like, this is, you're going to learn stuff here and there. And then, Monday you get, the D-backs. And, you just watch. And, like, and Dion, no matter what you think of him, right?
Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Who?
Coach
Prime. Sorry,
Coach
Prime.
Prime. Confused.
Coach Prime could break down a D-back's back pedal. Yeah. And you would sit there and you're like, okay, now I understand what they're looking for right now. And then you so like he's a bender. He's this. And then we all think, well, I could be a GM. Well, no, we can't.
Well, I know we could all be GMs in baseball with what's going on now. Football, I think you're right. Yeah. But all right, so he brought up Coach Prime. I'm gonna show the picture you sent me of the tweet. I don't know if you saw this. That Dion basically said, "Well, Mike, you have it. And I'm going to show the tweet because Jim probably didn't see it, about what Dion said about not being able to coach the Cowboys."
Yeah, he said, "I love the Cowboys, but I can't coach pros. I have a problem with a professional athlete not doing his job, and he's getting handsomely paid. I don't have any tolerance for that." That's what he said.
Now,
this guy was a mercenary his whole career.
Right. That's what I said. Now, it's what I said to Mike is, by the way, he's not wrong.
Right.
He's not wrong with why. Well, the reason why, but this is what he did. He was the same fucking guy. He was the prima donna before prima donnas. And the fact that you can't coach in the pros because you're not qualified to coach in the pros.
Yes.
Okay, well, yes. One, that's the number one reason. And two is that guy was so good at his position that if he needs to coach somebody,
he can't.
He can't.
It's like Michael Jordan trying to coach basketball and Larry Bird.
And that's not an insult to him.
Yeah, it's like those guys.
It's not like he could do things that normal corners couldn't do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Lawrence Taylor would be a shitty outside linebacker coach. Because I can't explain how I did it. I was just able to do it.
I'll tell you what, though, Lawrence Taylor could teach you how to snort a line of coke like a bastard, though.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember when Beverly Hills Cop 2 came out? Right? So me and my buddies were watching the movie, and in walks Lawrence Taylor. And he sits 3 rows in front of us. We're watching the movie. And there was the one scene in the movie when the chief said, "Have you submitted yourself for drug testing yet? I want you to go down there tomorrow morning." Every single one of us, like probably like 7, 8 of us, all elbowing each other. And
Taylor should have gotten up and been like, "I'm walking out. I'm just joking, everybody." That would have been funny. Oh. So you think that's the reason Coach Prime, Mike's qualified, right? He's qualified to coach the Cowboys.
Coach Prime, Jason Garrett did, so I guess he could too. Right?
Actually, that is a good point. because Jason Garrett did it. So that proves that any one of us, the clapper.
He sucked. Yeah, he sucked. How many years did he coach? He was 500.
Too many.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh man,
Listen, I like Jason Garrett, always did. And I told you that story with the hat and 9/11.
Yeah.
But the thing about Jason Garrett was the perfect Cowboys coach because he didn't have a domineering personality. He was a company man that towed the line and was able, kind of like, I'm not saying that they're the same, but he was kind of like a Joe Torre, where Joe Torre knew how to manage Steinbrenner.
The difference with Torre is he was successful, right?
Correct. But Garrett knew how to navigate the road with Jerry Jones, and they were winning. And Garrett was probably smart enough to be like, "Yeah, I'm the head coach," but ultimately, I'm really the associate head coach because the head coach is upstairs in the owner's box doing radio spots and all that. So
when we were talking about Hugh Jackson, the Hard Knocks to me that made the most impact on me learning something was watching the one on the Cleveland Browns and knowing that Hugh Jackson, while I'd like to have a beer with him, he is a complete idiot and maybe the dumbest coach in the history of football, other than Rich Kotite. And that Jason Garrett, I learned that with Garrett and the combination of Garrett and Jones, that organization is never going to win a Super Bowl. Because Garrett, it's whatever Jerry Jones wants. I'm good. Mm-hmm. And he would even admit it in that show.
Right.
Yeah. How about that jackass Hugh Jackson hiring Art Briles?
How about that?
That is something.
Yeah, and no.
I don't know too much about.
Don't say it.
No, I don't. No, because I'm not going to say no.
He should be at Rutgers, is what you're going to say.
No, absolutely. So
good one.
But you know what? You look at an Art Briles, and there was a lot of stuff that went through what happened at Baylor. And I just read this today. Baylor commissioned a study when all this stuff came out, right? Not to be written down. And they went back to the board of trustees and told them what happened. Basically what it wasn't just a football problem. It was a campus-wide problem.
Right.
And then, but they needed to make somebody a scapegoat, and now and I'm not defending him. I'm not defending him one bit or the other.
You're First of all, you're Hugh Jackson, and you've got to thank your lucky stars that you have a job in that sport, as bad as you were. And you're at Grambling, which is it's a historic it is the historic black college program. It is the greatest ever, and you hire fucking Art Briles. I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, the guy knows what he's doing. Right. I mean, he was successful at Baylor. He's a great offensive mind, but hire his fucking son, which is who I wanted the Vikings to hire as a head coach, Kendall, because he knows his shit too. What the fuck are you thinking? And you're already on thin ice because this whole thing about the Browns were going to pay you, obviously that didn't happen. We shockingly found out. Yeah. Because if it did, he'd be a fucking millionaire. That's what he was. That's what he was motivated for. But, oh my God, I don't want to get,
that's a touchy subject with Art Briles because, somebody's going to be made the scapegoat of something like that. And obviously any violence against any type of person is totally wrong. So let's throw that waiver out, for the next time. But did they make him a scapegoat? Did he know? I mean, you go back, you look at Tom Osborne right now, right?
Here's the thing. Phillips? Hold on. Doesn't matter. The guy's probably one of the highest paid public employees in the state of Texas, right?
I know. You're right.
And it's your job.
You're right.
It doesn't matter whatever happens on your watch, you're responsible for it.
You know what,
Period.
Mike? You're 100% right because I said the same thing about Paterno with Sandusky. There's nothing that Paterno didn't know that was going on. No. So you're absolutely right. So
and if Paterno didn't know, that's equally a problem.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if Briles didn't know, that's equally as bad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, according to the Al Pacino movie that I watched, where he played Joe Pa, he didn't know. So I don't know how you don't know. But.
Good one.
Hey, so we were just something popped into my head, and Mike's an expert in this because baseball. What is your current take on the nonsense of them now having to cancel at least two, which we know is going to be more than two series? Because I followed it a little bit. Oh, and we want to talk about Jeter. But what's the first baseball? What's your take? Because I have a take on this, but you're a little bit more nice about it. I get too fired up about it.
I predicted Davis that there wouldn't be baseball until July.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I think that the players negotiated 2 really bad deals and that they need to hold their ground all the way to the bitter end on this. So I think that the owners have given very little. They haven't negotiated much off of their original position, and they haven't really had an intent. And I think the players should sit this out. I don't think the owners care if they miss all of April.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Right. So if you miss all of April, hey, fuck you. We'll sit out till June. Right. Start spring training in June.
The biggest thing that concerns me, and it doesn't concern me, but it would concern me if I don't know if I'm the commissioner of Major League Baseball or if I'm running the stadiums. But the longer this is out, the less people give a fuck.
Correct.
Because at least with COVID, everything was shut down, so you couldn't help it, and even NASCAR couldn't gain as much. They were the only, and that and pro wrestling. But if you're out this long, already there's gigantic concerns about viewership, attendance.
Yes.
Now, attendance, I don't think as much, especially minor leagues. The attendance is still, it's not great, but last year was different. They were limited, and the product was a fucking turd on the fucking field. But that if you lose baseball till July, especially with the USFL,
yes,
and with NASCAR getting a little bit more popular, and with the NBA playoffs and hockey, you are really going to have a hard time, I think. TV-wise especially, which already people hardly... I mean, you and I like it, but we also have... I have 4 games on, and I'm watching 4 at once, or I have it on. They're really... It's going to hurt. It's really going to be hard to regroup this time.
I agree. And all the issue with pace of play, and then to your point, by the way, I don't know if everybody's paying attention, but Formula One is now super popular in the U.S.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
IndyCar has a big deal with Peacock and NBC. You have NASCAR. You're going to get left behind if you're baseball.
I feel like baseball for me, it's always been it's baseball. It's it's baseball, and that '94 cancellation of the World Series was terrible, and fans, went away until you got McGuire and Sosa in that home run derby.
Yeah.
And I always liked baseball, and then the Mets got Piazza. And I always followed the Mets, I root for them. But when they got Piazza, I got excited. I'm like, yes, I got a team. And they had those great series with the Braves and all that, and really hanging on every pitch in the playoffs. And maybe because living up here, I don't get the Met games or the Yankee games anymore. To throw them on. I follow baseball peripherally until it gets to playoff times. But the problem is that when you put a baseball game on, when you have first pitch at 8:25 in a playoff game, and then with all these substitutions and the switch and okay, well now we're at the 7th inning, so now we got to play situational baseball, and I got a lefty coming up, so now I got to bring my righty in for a pitcher, and those last 3 innings take 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and
I want to then you go to bed and you wake up and you put on sports radio and what an ending to that game last night.
At 1:30.
It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm in bed.
See, Mike and I so Mike likes the Giants. And I like the Yankees, but for me, Mike is the purest baseball of the three of us. I'm kind of in the middle, and you're probably the casual one. I'll tolerate it. Right. I love the playoffs.
Right.
But Jim is the casual fan. It's fuck this. And kids, Davis loves baseball, but Shane, he can't fucking watch it because they're bored. Tyler, who loves fucking baseball, Angela's son. He'll just look at it online, or he'll watch the app, or he'll watch a little bit, or he'll watch Twitter highlights,
or I'll listen to FAN.
Yeah, they'll listen to it.
Talk about.
It's going to be hard to regroup. Actually, it's going to be.
You give me a weekend if I'm doing stuff out in the backyard, or if I'm grilling and I have the TV, I'll have the baseball. I'll have a baseball game on the TV. It just says background noise.
Yeah.
But for me to sit and watch a 9-inning game, I really haven't done that in probably 30 years, unless it was playoff time.
Yeah.
And it's my team that I want to watch. The Mets are, so I'm gonna, or even the Yankees. I'll watch the 9-inning game in the playoffs. But during the regular season, like, all right, so you got this on, we're hanging out. Yeah, there's a baseball game on. Or if I go to a bar, I can watch a baseball game in a bar. But for me, sitting in a chair in my house, if I'm not actively doing something, I'll, it'll
That's what's going to be tough for them. Yeah. Before we talk about, go ahead. You have another.
I was just going to say, if Tyler follows John Sterling on Twitter, tell him to be careful because he gives the wrong updates on scores.
I'll have to bring that up.
Yeah.
I'm the idiot.
I can't believe he's still calling games too.
So
do I. I enjoy it.
I don't like the nickname stuff. Right. It's getting a little old. It's like Berman's nickname.
Right. He's become a shtick of himself.
But he's still very good. Although, and Susan Waldman, who
I like Susan Waldman. Always like Susan Waldman.
You don't like neither one of them, or
Susan Waldman sucks. She's terrible.
But did she tell you she talked to Scottie Pippen before the game last night?
Oh my God!
Right.
My God!
Roger Clemens! It's in Georgia's box.
Oh,
give me a break! Fuck.
So I was working out in the driveway. We were at the other house when that happened, and I was listening to it on the radio. Right. And I heard her lose it. I thought there was like an earthquake or a fucking plane crashed. I remember where I was. I was outside. And I come running in to listen. I thought like a fucking plane wrecked in the stadium because she went, oh my God. If people have not heard that, you can YouTube. It sounded like the most disastrous thing just happened on the field. Right. And all it was is that she saw Roger Clemens sitting in the owner's box.
Right. Yes. Okay, all right. So since we're on a little baseball topic then, does Clemens deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, they're going to put Ortiz in there. I think I'm sorry, that opens up the door to these roid guys.
Okay.
I don't...
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Pudge Rodriguez is in too.
Yeah, and he was
in the Mitchell report.
He was one too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't.
Clemens belongs. Bonds. You got to put Bonds in. You got to put McGuire. Like, it's easy.
I tend to agree. Listen, baseball sold its soul with that.
Yeah, well, they insisted that guys weren't doing it. They were doing it.
Baseball was stupid.
Yes.
When they did that testing, and somehow all those players positive got leaked. And I give Andy Pettit a lot of credit, and I give Giambi credit fessing up to what they did. And those two guys were made the scapegoat of the steroid. Now, granted, everybody with Bonds and all that, and he's probably paying the worst price along with McGuire with this, but when it first came out, like, Pettit and Giambi, no, they're no good, blah, blah, blah. But meanwhile, these guys fessed up and told the truth. Mm-hmm. All right, yeah. And you know what? Even if they want to say, well, steroids only came in the 90s or whatever, bullshit. I remember watching Yankee games in the 70s when they had those, the pull-on jerseys, right? And they're playing. The Yankees are playing the California Angels, and Brian
Downing. I knew that's who you were going to go with.
Yeah, right.
That fucker was the first guy that admitted to working out, and that guy was a fucking monster.
And then the Giants, when the Mets played them in like the 2005, Bobby Estalella, their catcher. The guy looked like freaking Schwarzenegger, how jacked he was. So don't tell me that steroids weren't around in baseball for years. Now, I will say this much. Pete Rose, Hall of Fame? No.
See, I still think...
you want to put him in? Then you put in... this is what... You put in Joe Jackson.
Well, I think Joe Jackson, that's way, obviously. Right. But fuck, I would put him in too.
Right.
According to that movie, he had nothing to do with it.
Well, he was just a dumb rube.
Good one.
Yeah. When you he couldn't read. He couldn't sign. He just signed his name with an X.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, one of the greatest sports movies
Eight Men Out.
Eight Men Out. Fantastic.
Hey, so you brought up IndyCar. So before I want you to tell a story about what you did this weekend. I love racing, right, Mike? We were very clear with that when we went to Phoenix, but I really fucking love it now. I watched the entire Xfinity race from Saturday, which is that division below the NASCAR big boys, because I've watched both Xfinity races now and both NASCAR races in its entirety. Now, not necessarily live, I've recorded it, but I love racing. I'm going to start watching the IndyCar series too, because I know the guys now.
It's awesome.
Because some of the stuff, now I'm not a really big fan of that, but I'm going to start watching it. I love fucking racing. So that you're right. That's another sport that is going to be growing, especially attendance wise. So you sent that video, which I'm going to put up while we're talking about this. Talk about what you just fucking did this weekend.
So I got invited, and I'll give them a shout out to the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, which is an IndyCar road race. And I was invited by Aero Electronics and Aero McLaren is one of the race teams. They sponsor 2 cars driven by Pato O'Ward and Felix Rosenquist. And so they have a suite, and they invited me, and I got to go for a ride the morning of the race in one of the 2-seaters. So they had 4 cars. The first car was driven by Mario Andretti.
Oh, wow.
Then I was in the second car driven by Spencer Peugeot. Mm-hmm. And then Davey Hamilton and Zach Veach were the other 2 drivers. So they strap you into this 2-seater in the back. They take you on a lap. And so right out of if you watch the video, right, you'll see on the video, like they just go full throttle.
Balls out right out of the gate.
Full throttle, man. Yeah. So full throttle. He comes out of a turn straight away, gets up to like 185, 186, breaks down, goes around, and part of the track's on an airport. And so then you hit another straightaway on the runway that's a little over a mile. And so he cranks it back up. It's the most amazing experience ever. It was awesome. And then, so we did that. And then we hung out in the pit in the garage area. And then went to the starting grid and then watched the race in a suite.
Did you,
unbelievable.
Did you, first of all, I have a couple questions. Did you shit yourself?
Good one. No, I didn't.
No.
Yeah.
There's one part. There's one part where I noticed that your helmet started getting a little cockeyed too.
It started when he went in the last straightaway. He came in the throttle really hard as he came out of the turn, and like air got underneath it, and the helmet started lifting up.
Yeah.
And at first I'm like, holy shit, the helmet's gonna fly up. And then I remembered it's got a strap.
Yeah.
Right. But I could feel it like buffeting in the wind, lifting up.
So I did a ride along at Flemington Speedway back when it was paved, when the Craftsman Truck Series was just starting, and it was the same thing. Now that's a 5/8 of a mile, and it's a square. It's basically a square. That fucking guy was on the hammer, full fucking speed by the first turn, a quarter of the way into the fucking Scott Lagacy. Yeah. That was the coolest. Watching that video, I'm thinking, how the fuck do these guys remember?
Right.
Like they remember all the turns. Because, I know video games aren't the same, but fuck, I can't remember. And you might race the same fucking track over and over, even the iRacing stuff they do. How the fuck going that goddamn fast do they know where every fucking turn is? That was and he was.
But they, they also have their crew chief, right?
Yeah, but it's just I don't know if he's
coming up the turn.
Maybe that's. But it was
down to this,
it was fucking. He was full because he caught the car in front of you. You guys got close to the car in front of you.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
So if I go 100 miles on the highway, I don't think I'm going 100 miles on the highway. Like, you don't realize how fast you're going. Is there a big, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm driving along at 85, like, holy shit, I'm going 100 miles an hour. It doesn't even feel like it. Like, what's the difference there? Like, when they come out, like, thrown back in the chair, throttle, like, getting on the turns.
Yeah.
Because those guys... think about it. If those guys hit like a rock, or you see those crotch rockets on the highway, I always hope that they hit a pebble, and because when they weave in and out of traffic, hit a pebble and go slide. But watching that, like those guys, when you watch them, it's not like hand over. Like those guys, like how much.
So there were probably 3 or 4 key things. The first is you really have a feel for the speed because your head is exposed.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you can feel and see the wind, right?
Okay.
So number 1, you're exposed. Number 2, those cars are 1,695 pounds and they're 850 horsepower.
Okay.
So they go 0 to 60 in 1.7 seconds. So when he throttles it, like you can hear the tires squeal and the back end kind of breaks loose, but your head, the G-force, you go back, right? You're pinned against the seat because it's 800 horsepower like that. And then they brake hard enough that literally the G-force, you go forward. I was surprised. The thing that really amazed me the most was how well that car handled in the corners because there's so much downforce, right? Like he went into some of the turns that were not hairpin turns. He went into those turns doing more than 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
and that car just never moved. It was like it was on a rail.
Now, are the turns banked like in NASCAR?
No. It's a street race,
Yeah.
so it's the streets of St. Petersburg.
Oh wow, okay. See, I used to go. Remember the Metal Age?
Oh yeah, I was there for that.
Right. So I used to go to a couple of. I wouldn't watch the whole. I went like on the Saturday where they would do like the trials.
Right.
Which I found that to be a little more interesting. But when you looked at all that, yeah, you're right. Like how they did that. And New York wanted to do a New York Grand Prix years and years ago, and they just never wound up doing it. But you're right. I mean, you look at all these sports that are coming back again, like NASCAR's coming back. Like it had a little drop off. The Indy cars have always had a drop off for a while. Like, but everybody watches the Indy 500. But I Saturday and Sunday mornings, you put on ESPN2, and they show all the European time trials, and then they show the race that Sunday morning live, and you're like, oh wow. I mean, it's you know.
I tell you, I raced that fucking sprint car, and I did the thing at Pocono. When you do that, like if you like racing, it's like fuck, I want to do this. Like I want to race something. I want to race a fucking slingshot.
Yeah.
Or I want to race something.
Like I wish Nazareth was open.
Oh my
because
God,
I'd love
I wish
now.
that was still...
I'd love to go watch. I'd love to go to a race there and see something.
Yeah, that's. I ordered that chili bowl is like a bucket list thing for me. They run the midgets there, and it's in January, and I had to call yesterday morning. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
It's from Monday to Saturday. And like Larson runs it and a bunch of the cup cars and these fucking guys that I watch that come to Kutztown and race. But I had to get on a waiting list for tickets for this. This is how you have to call in March. The event is in January of next year. And they put you on a waiting list. And if enough people turn tickets in, you can get the tickets. And then you have them. Fuck, this would be unreal. And we're going to every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They run qualifying like days, and then they run what they call the alphabet soup on Saturday, which is like an X main, an S main, a T main to qualify for the A. So anyhow, that's what.
So now, if you get those tickets, you have them.
I will now be able to renew them if I so choose the next time.
Do you know my father when he moved down to North Carolina, he got on a bucket. He had his bucket list. Like, I want to go see a college bowl game. So it was Dabo's first year when he was named the interim coach.
Okay.
My parents went down to the Gator Bowl, and they saw Nebraska and Clemson. My father fell in love with college football. You know, like he always rooted for, he'd root for Notre Dame because I did and all that. But like he liked pro football. But because he moved to the South, like, I got to watch it. So he started getting into college football. He wound up getting Orange Bowl tickets.
Oh, and then he has them now.
And he had them, and then so
you've been to that.
He had them for the 2012 national title game. He got rid of them. He saw because he went down a few years before when Parcells was with the Dolphins.
Okay.
My father had like club seats, and he goes, I looked at Parcells is sitting behind
Holy
me.
Shit,
And he goes, I get these every year. I'm guaranteed these tickets every year. They come to me first. I could be like, I want them, I don't want them. I'm like, oh, that's all.
Well,
that's
fantastic. This is, by the way, the most serious show we've had, but that's fine. But I tell you, I've so many things. I'm not even gonna. But that, like, we went to Indy. By the way, before I talk about the Indy, did you see Roger? Was he shaking his fist for drinking all those beers?
Yeah, he was running around the pit area going, hey, I'm looking for two son of a bitches that drank all my beer at one of these races.
Think about how much that fucking cost him. Seriously. That's the day that we drank from 10 a.m. until they kicked us out. And we were drinking violently at a hellacious pace all day.
Yes.
That had to have been something. So because he sends me a text that Roger's here looking for me. I'm laying low. Oh man. But that Indy going to that, like those things, like I would love to do that. Now we went to the Grand, like it was a Grand Prix. Right. It wasn't the 500, but I've been to that track with Mike twice now. Like I would love to go for that IndyCar race because you have tickets for that, right? That you can turn over every year.
Oh, yeah. I renew them every year.
Yeah.
So I do. I know you said it was a serious thing. So I'm just looking at this.
No, I don't care. It's not. I got a bunch of shit. I'm just saying that we're too. If people bitch about our shit stories,
what is Combine and Jimrod coming?
Jimrod, Combine, his Jimrod flying out. We already talked about that.
No, I know but I thought it was like.
I love that list.
I thought it was Jim Rodriguez or.
Did you
Rhodes
Did you look at any of it? Did I send it?
I did.
I don't know shit about fuck. I put on there
from
Ozarks.
That's
you know why?
Great fucking
Do you
show.
know why? So I think Ruthie is fucking hot. I think that woman's hot. So I get a Netflix ad. I'm looking around because I get a Netflix ad for this new show on Netflix, and they got like a half shot of this girl. She's got black hair and glasses. I'm like, holy fuck, who is this? So I Google it. It's her.
Oh yeah, where she's
it's
playing
her
socialite.
Yes, I'm like, holy shit.
But she's not going to be in there saying you piece of shit.
Oh,
you know?
she is great.
But she's my favorite character of the whole show.
Because I don't know what made me think of it. That was an early comment. I don't know shit about fuck because that's hilarious. I got to start using that more. So that's we'll save Jeter for another time. And I just wanted to get Mike to tell that story about the fucking
that's
racing
awesome.
that car because that is incredible.
I couldn't download it, so I'll have to look.
I'm hoping to use it. I'll be able to use that. I should be able to use a video. Okay. It's awesome. It's just the unfortunate thing is that it's only one lap, but still that is fucking awesome.
Yeah. I know.
Because that's a big track. Like when we did the one at Flemington, it was a few laps because the track's 5/8 a mile. We probably went around 2 or 3 times.
They have one up in Plainfield. Didn't they just have a big accident up there like a few months
you can
ago?
do the
like a little dirt track.
What, right?
Not Flemington. Oh God, what's the name? It begins at Plainfield.
In Plainfield? What, in Jersey?
No, right up the road here.
Well, they have a Snydersville, is that it?
I don't know. I took the back roads. I took Richmond Road all the way out there or something like that.
There's
I took Kesslerville all the way out. I came to like a Y intersection and there was...
they do tractor pulls there.
Yeah.
They have a fair.
Had a big fire or a big accident up there a few months ago. I thought maybe they raced like the little dirt...
No, because West End Fairgrounds does it during the fair and then Kutztown races. What are you shaking your head at?
Jim is giving directions. Yeah. I took this. I drove out to a tree and I turned left and then came to a Y in the road.
I'm like Yogi Berra. You get to the fork in the road, take it.
Right.
But last week, we got some time. It's just this is the most serious episode because we started with shit and now it's good breakdown stuff. Right. So anybody,
you know what, we got to keep the people that watch this. Like, look, all they do is talk about shit.
That's true.
No, now we're talking about a serious guy. So what do you think about the Russia-Ukraine?
No,
I'm kidding.
No, but I do want to. So last week, I'm editing this thing last week at night. Now I got the computer back, so it shouldn't take fucking 12 hours or 17 hours to upload. But I'm editing this last week, and I'm fucking losing it while I'm editing it. But the part that jumps out is Mike drops a "That's what she said," and I completely missed it. I completely missed it. And then you belt out Mercurochrome, which you said it, and it was one of those where like I heard it and kept going, and then I watched it back, and you're looking at me like.
I'm like, yeah, he didn't get it.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Fucking Mercurochrome, which I looked up. I'm like, yeah, because I think, was there something called like bacitracin too?
Right? Absolutely.
That's what we used, bacitracin.
That was the orange.
And there was iodine, right?
Well, the Mercurochrome. So I'll pull up a picture of it and show it for people that have no fucking clue. But you're right, like that's all, you just put that shit on there. You got a fucking cut, because I cut myself, the fucking dog scratched me. Because Shane thought for sure that somebody was going to come running in. Angela was going to dab it with a napkin to get my. But he fucking put Mercurochrome on that. And I'm like, where I got that from? Fuck did he come up with that?
That Twitter site, Super 70s Sports.
Oh, the best site on Twitter.
That guy's a fucking genius, right? Yeah. And he had a picture of Mercurochrome. It was like every person that lived in the 70s. I was like, oh my God, my mom. Mom, I scraped my. Here, let me get some Mercurochrome for it. And like, okay.
Do you remember, the Angela kids around that she was the poster child for Noxzema? Do you remember if you got a sunburn?
Yeah.
Noxzema.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lather yourself. Just dip fucking yourself in Noxzema.
Yeah. And then you said
my
Vicks.
grandma had
and Vicks was the other one. But you're right about Vicks.
Rub.
That shit was for if you had the cough, if you had the sneeze, if you had the shits, everything was Vicks. And you put it right here.
Right there.
Yep.
Right there on your chest.
I have a story for another time about Vicks that has to do with I'm going to tease it. And I hope my buddy that I will not name, who is a Facebook friend, so he has the ability to watch this, sees it. So I will tease the story. It has to do with his girlfriend placing Vicks here and it ending up somewhere else.
I
will tease that story for another time.
I got a Ben Gay one then for you then.
What the fuck? What?
Come on.
So my one roommate from college was, to say he had one screw loose is not.
He was like the oarsman then. He didn't have both oars in the water.
No.
Good one.
There was no filter on it. Like
reminds me, it's right here.
He was
still there.
We had there was one day he was I ordered food, right? So he tells me, he's like, Whitey, when the person delivers the food, don't let them leave. I'm like, okay, he goes, just start a conversation with the person. I'm like, all right, no problem. So the person delivers the food, and it was a girl. Like, we knew, I forget her name, but I wouldn't mention it anyway. So she comes in. I'm like, oh, she's like, hey, Whitey, how are you? I'm like, good. Okay, here you go. So what's new? And my roommate walks out, and he is buck naked, right? And he's like, hold on, I might have change for you. So he, like,
what the?
He
ain't right. Okay. All
so
right.
What the?
Right. So she's like, oh, nickname deleted. You're so funny, blah, blah, blah. And she leaves. So he's like going crazy and all that. And he's running around. So my other roommate walks out and he goes, Whitey, he takes a glob, a Ben Gay, right? And I was like, what do you? He goes, just smack it on him somewhere or something. So he walks by and I go to smack it on his stomach. He goes, oh, cool, toothpaste, right? So he proceeds to take the Ben Gay and rub it somewhere else, thinking it was toothpaste.
Well, wait a second.
Yeah, right.
Why would you rub toothpaste around your fucking balls?
Because he's fucking crazy.
That's the point that's lost here.
Yes, correct.
Oh,
correct.
wait, it's toothpaste. Where's the first place I'm going to put it? Let me rub it around my...
He might... But anyway, so
he might clinically have something wrong with himself.
I start laughing, right? And all of a sudden, like, I just wait. I'm like, all right, name redacted. You'll see. And if any of my roommates watch
that burns
this,
like balls, right?
Within 5 minutes, he's in the shower screaming, "Whitey, I'm gonna fucking kill you!" And my other roommate, Junior, we're laughing like third graders, like like.
Well, it's his own fault.
Well, yes,
the toothpaste would have caused problems too.
Yeah,
two things.
Yeah,
two things. Doug.
Here we go.
Number one, no one would rub toothpaste on their junk.
Well, listen, he's the one that pissed over the Winnebago.
Number two.
Oh, wait a second.
Number two.
The guy who rubbed Ben Gay on his balls is the guy who pissed over the Winnebago.
Yes.
No, of course he is.
Yes.
Of course he is. Yes. All right. Yeah.
Name redacted.
Number two, have you ever seen a tube of toothpaste big enough to get that much out
in somebody's hand? Yes.
Yeah, right.
Plus, it doesn't
like 10 tubes.
I don't know what color Ben Gay is. Not that lime green.
I need to have this guy come up one time.
Oh boy!
But because he is he is. You know how Walshy's fun?
Yeah. We could get him to piss.
Right, but that's how he's fun.
We could get him to try to piss over the railing.
Yeah.
He's the life of the party. And
Doug, do you know anybody with a Winnebago? Get them to bring that.
My neighbor who's a dick. I can have him piss over
Jeremy
hers.
Mayfield?
She's not Jeremy Mayfield. I have some.
Okay.
My last neighbor Sam was great, and his wife Gretchen. They were great.
Was he the one that knew how to keep secrets about Christmas trees?
Jeremy Mayfield did. That dick. Yeah. That fucker had something wrong. I'm telling you. He had, I shouldn't, I told Shane this. I think he clinically, when I say that clinically, there was clinically something wrong.
Was he like Cousin Eddie?
No, Cousin Eddie, I think, was just goofy.
With the part,
he might have had a plate
and
one
he turns
side.
the microwave on and he
pisses himself, forgets his name for an hour. Yeah, he might have been clinically wrong.
Well, now it's a good thing we got away from the seriousness, and now we're going into the kindergarten.
What else
humor.
do I have? So the other thing is, I want to break down. We're going to end this with shit talk. His friend shitting in a big gulp cup. Now, my plan was to go get a Big Gulp cup and present it here. But like, this is probably the same opening that a Big Gulp. Do you realize the risk of doing that is not worth, like, just, I don't know. I guess he had no other choice to run somewhere. But like, I'm just trying to imagine. So Jim belts out that he went into the back. I'm assuming it was a van, right?
This was 30 years ago.
But the fact that so you have a large cup that it had to have been nuggets. It couldn't have been a lot, because if you shit, like, if, like,
I think we did ask him, like, how he goes. No, it was just like one.
Because if it was a substantial amount,
Right.
even an average amount of length, not like larger than Kenny Pickett's hand gap, okay?
Good one.
That's gonna fill that thing right up.
Wait, are we
Doug.
No, never mind. Because I
Kid's
actually
gonna
know
call Kenny Pickett hoagie.
No, I actually know. I went to school with Kenny Pickett's mom.
You didn't bang her, and that's not your kid, is it?
No.
Like Walsh's kid played at Notre Dame?
No, not at all.
Hey, Doug, can you imagine if I would have had a Big Gulp cup at the House of Flavors?
Oh, there you go. Now that would have overflowed. First of all,
that would have been like the YouTube video, two chicks
Holy shit.
and what was it?
That would have been like a.
well,
that'd been
you
like a
would have
power
sprayed
washer.
that. I imagine that your coverage
everywhere.
area was like a clogged up fucking paint sprayer.
Yeah.
I was telling Doug
Correct.
when I saw the Big Gulp thing, I said when I put this, our last episode up on Facebook, and everybody's like, oh, like, oh, you guys are funny. My one friend goes, well, we don't know who that was, and I'm like, no names are mentioned,
Yeah, that's
We
impressive.
just had a good chuckle out of it. No. Yeah.
What's funny is one of the guys on Facebook that I know, that I'm going to be vague. He'll know who I'm talking about, but others won't. He's a wrestling referee, and he lives up north of me. I'm going to be as vague as he said. I told you guys before, and he said he loves this stuff, and he said him and his buddies can all relate. Everybody has had, every dude at least, has had a shit story where they haven't made it, or they've tried, or they've had to try to piss somewhere. At least I had to stop. We went on a walk over in Tatamy on that bike path the other day, and I pulled out of the parking lot by the Tony's, and I made it to that little road to go into that ballpark. I had to piss in the freaking porta-john. That's how fast it came on. Ava's with me. It's just like it's expected now. The guy is. I'm like, I gotta go. Like, I couldn't even make it home. It's 2 minutes. Yeah. It's 2 minutes.
I just started over the last couple of years enjoying like coffee in the morning, right? So I'll go to the gym, I'll stop at Dunkin' Donuts, come home, or when I was working, we get to work and I'd have a cup of coffee. And then we'd drive into work and we'd all have a cup of coffee. But now I know for a fact that if I have something to do in the morning, no coffee will be drank.
Because you got to piss.
No, I'll almost shit my fucking pants.
He's got to blow mud.
He needs a Big Gulp cup to come with that coffee.
It's like, so, like, I'll like, Nicole and I'll just say we take a ride down to the shore for the day. She's like, oh, do you want to stop and get coffee? I'm like, yeah, absolutely not.
You have the Jimmy White
and
shuffle.
She goes, why? I'm like, yeah, I can't. Because I don't know what's going to happen. So, yeah, I don't know what Jimmy White. Yeah, that Jimmy White shuffle's bad. Oh.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let me see. We're gonna. Yeah, that's good enough. I got a couple other things. That super team. That's for another time, because I don't even tell me. I don't know if you're talking about the Eagles with that Vic comment. All right, well, we got to get to that. Yeah. But we're running out.
Well, I actually like that for the next time. The super team,
USFL,
the USFL, college football expansion.
Yeah. I don't know shit about fuck. We're going to talk about that again.
Yeah, that can get brought up every time. By the way, the new season, the last
I got to watch that
of Ozark drop
okay.
at the end of this month or next month.
The Derek Jeter thing I want to talk about, because I think that's interesting with Mike. And I got that. Oh, and I actually, what's funny, we were talking about South Carolina. I want to get to that. The cab driver in South Carolina telling us basically, you fuckers got to walk. You're not going to make it. And yes. Mike Tomlin being there, and how that did not go over well with. Why are you blurry? Good. Oh, there you go. You're better now. You're okay. I just want to make sure. Because I fucked up the
real
editing
Mike
again.
Tomlin?
No.
Okay.
That son of a bitch he looked more like Mike Tomlin than Will Ferrell looked like Will Ferrell. There was a guy that we tailgated when the pickle jar, the Pabst, that crew, that fucker looked like Will Ferrell, did he not?
Yeah.
We have a picture that's obviously that fucking guy, and I know he knew it because when I told him that, he's like, yeah. I mean, he was tall like Will Ferrell. Right. The hair, everything. The hair. He really looked like him. He really did. Yeah. Of course, we joked around that it was him. Then Angela thought he really did go out there with us. But all right, what's your words of wisdom? We're gonna have to wrap this up. This is a record breaker. Wow, it's almost an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My words of wisdom center on, as I reflected back this week, Doug. These are fun. I hope everybody enjoys them. I know that we do. So my words of wisdom are about friendship. So when you're in jail, a good friend will be trying to bail you out. A best friend will be in the cell next to you saying, damn, that was fun.
Yes, another good one. Yeah. That is classic.
Before we end on that.
Oh, boy.
So actually, in Kutztown, they called it a riot back in 1990. Like it was a huge block party at what they called the Cliffs, and the best way I could describe the Cliffs, if you come up from 13th Street, you come to the traffic light, instead of making a left on Bushkill, just go up and you see those Lafayette apartments.
Okay, yeah.
That if you blow really hard, they'll fall.
Right.
Over.
Yes.
That was the Cliffs.
Okay.
And there was probably 250 houses in there, and every time in the spring, you'd have these huge block parties. So it was right before spring break. They have a huge block party, and it gets out of hand. The town calls the state police. The state police come in to break everything up, make CNN. Somebody brings a couch out, light a couch on fire.
Nice.
Cops come again. My two roommates, one who's white and one who's black, walk out of my other friend's apartment. They get arrested. Right? The cops just hauled them in, and they're sitting there. And my one friend just starts singing, "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," right?
Oh, boy.
And my father was like, "Would you just shut the fuck up already?" And then those two guys made the paper, and it was just when you hear the story, you're like, yep, yeah, we could see that happening, and it just then every weekend after that, everyone's like, oh, we got to do this. There was only one riot, and that was it. And my roommates got arrested.
The reason they did is the one guy had toothpaste around his balls.
Good one.
He wasn't one of them that night.
Good one. Yes. Yes.
All right. That's a classic. And I am surprised that Mike and I'm surprised. There's a couple. Well, I think we would have got arrested if we jumped the fence at Indianapolis to see the Indians ballpark, Victory Field.
Yeah.
Because we almost had ourselves talked into doing it.
Right.
And then we saw a cop car, which, by the way, had spinners on it. Am I right? That fucker had spinners on the cop car in Indianapolis. It was like we're like thinking about it. Let's just go over. It was nighttime. Let's just go over. And we look over and there's a cop sitting in the parking lot. I'm like, all right, that would have done it. That one, and I'm surprised that we didn't have the cops show up at the Mohawk party. Not that we would have got arrested, but I'm surprised the cops didn't show up after we lit that chair on fire.
I'm also surprised
the two women came over.
That we didn't have an incident in Green Bay back at the hotel because you were ripped. You were out of control. We got back to that hotel.
Are you talking about the night that we took Dave back?
Yes.
No, that was you that was out of control.
Oh, wait
allegedly.
That wasn't those guys stole that table and put it in the elevator, right?
No, that was
that was another one. That's for another time too. That was in Green Bay. Yeah, actually, there's a couple of the Green Bays, or I didn't get arrested in Denver when I ripped my pants. Oh, I have a story about that for another time. I have a story that Angela used that as a reference this week about Denver that I don't want to tell now. That's for another time. Because I want to tell the Denver story about ripping my pants. But now that leads into it. I want to revisit Billy and him finger banging that girl and all that. He belted that out. Remember that? Yep. That's okay to say that, right?
Yeah.
Or is that all right? Or should I have to blur?
Oh yeah. Billy belted out on a bar. You can say that here.
He said that.
That's
we knew the guy for about 10 seconds, and he belts it out that he was trying to with that girl.
Well, there were two great things about it, and I don't want to give it away. But first of all, he belted out loud, and then he had the The gesture went.
That's right.
He was gesturing.
This was a guy
dude,
wearing a Cowboys
tone it
jersey.
down.
Mike was so drunk. Mike thought he was wearing a Peyton Manning jersey, and it was a Cowboys jersey because Mike goes,
Was
"Hey,
it Steve Pallor?
It was. I don't what. Yeah, that you're right. And, well, yeah, because he must have been wearing a Peyton Manning, right?
No, he was wearing a white. He was wearing a white Cowboys jersey, but I was ripped.
He was
allegedly.
ripped.
Well, in your defense,
And he's across the bar.
He was way over there, and Mike's like, and I think at that point I'm like, I don't know. And he decides he's going to go over and talk to this guy, which, by the way, made for an epic night. But, man, he was Billy, right?
Rough.
He was
Billy.
rough. That's the best way of putting it, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah, that's for another time.
Yep.
I'm going to put that in the notes. All right, this is a new record because we're over an hour here.
Wow.
This is going to be something. So I hope people enjoy this. All right, Mike.
I hope people see this and want to like broadcast us.
Well, this is was a good one because this was our most serious episode for most of it, where we actually talked about serious stuff, not serious, but sports stuff, not necessarily completely
We're not going
inundating
to talk
people with
world
shit.
politics. What's going on in the world right now. Okay.
But we educated some people. That's from Boys in the Hood, by the way.
Yeah.
Great movie.
That is a classic. That's Ice Cube talking about Furious, educating everybody at the house. That is classic.
That was a real that was a
So,
really, really good.
By the way, you've seen that movie, right, Mike?
Yeah.
One of my favorite things in that movie is the guy in the wheelchair has a hat that says "Yo, I'm Chris" on it. Have you ever noticed that? Like, it's supposed to say like "Yo, I'm Chris," but it just says "Yo, I'm Chris." Like, I'm Chris. It's hilarious. There is so much funny shit in that movie. Oh, that is great. Anyhow, all right, we got to go. All right. So, Mike, good stuff. Hopefully you don't shit yourself driving a race car this weekend.
Yes, I hope
Goatee
so.
looks
Good
good.
to see you, boys.
Goatee,
Thank
and
you.
then bring. I know you're on location, sort of in a hotel, but next time you got to bring the giraffe.
All right, if I can find it, I'll bring it.
Which
yes.
we've got. Oh, you packed that. We didn't bury that in the lawn, did you?
No, that's the gnome.
That's a gnome.
not the
You got to
giraffe.
do that. Yeah. All right. Good stuff, Mike. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
All right, everybody.
See you, boys.
Hope you enjoyed it. This was great. This was episode 15. Again, just let us know what you're thinking of this one. This was a fun one to do. We'll see you next week.